Red Hood issue 50.
Yeah, it's Red Hood, isn't it? Yeah, no, I will say is unfortunately still Lobdell on art and
Lobdell on art?
Sorry, Lobdell writing and Pantalino on art.
I would read that issue just to see what it was like.
Me too. I was reading who was the artist on the credits page, so I made sure I got it right and said art as I was saying it. That is my bad. Pantalino on art and Lobdell writing. I'm not sure if this is quite the last Lobdell issue or if there's one or two more. I don't know.
I think it's the last one. 50 was his last one.
I thought it was, but it doesn't feel like much of an... I mean, I guess there's ending qualities to it, but I'll start by... I was slightly confused at the start of this issue, and I will say part of this is on me. Because it opened saying 1 month ago above Gotham City, and I skimmed over the that establishing panel, because in reality, in this book, there are shitload of establishing panels and most of them are meaningless, so my eyes kind of don't always take them in. And Bizarro's here, and like Bizarro's just chilling around doing stuff, and I was like, wait, didn't we leave Bizarro in hell with taking Trigon's seat at the end of the last issue? I actually had to go back and check the last issue to check I wasn't imagining that, and then got back to this issue and was like, oh, it says 1 month ago, never mind. It's picking up threads from the Joker War stuff that we just had. That Jason cares about, Joker's daughter, and there was stuff going on with that. And apparently, there was... I barely remember this. There was some dead body that he had that he thought was Joker's daughter, Duella Dent. And he's like, it turns out it wasn't her. It was just some homeless person. Oh, well. And it's like, now I need to find the real Duella Dent. So that's the opening like handful of pages, a quick rescue mission. They grab her. Bizarro and Artemis are with him. And they get her and take her back and put her in a hospital bed. And then we skip ahead to quote-unquote today, which is presumably right after the last issue ended, or more or less anyway. And this opens with Jason waking up. He's stood next to a window, staring out, doing that whole pensive Anakin Skywalker on the balcony in episode 2 shit. And definitely not Padme, but Artemis walks up to him and is like, hey, you're all right, I haven't slept so well. And clearly having just gotten out of the same bed as Jason. And I'm like, wasn't there a whole thing for like the last like 8 issues about Jason's girlfriend? And she got possessed by the sword spirit? Like, he was with someone else? Like, that was a whole thing, I'm sure. And now he's just with Artemis? That wasn't a thing? I don't know, they're just sleeping together now? I don't get it. I don't know where this has come from. And you got some reminiscing. It's like, oh, Roy, oh, Bizarro, oh, Corey, she's off doing space stuff now. I miss them all so much. Because I guess this does show it is Lobdell's last issue, because there's all this reminiscing going on. Some nice tender moments with Artemis, which again, they were not in a relationship. I don't know where this has come from. Madness. And then, of course, Generation Outlaw show up, because they're at Mar Gunn's house, is where they are now. Who Pete now knows who Mar Gunn is, and gets all these references.
If I was listening to you, yes.
Yes. Yeah, they're at Mar Gunn's house with Generation Zero, which are Generation Outlaw, sorry, which are the shitty heroes that were, the arc that you read, or however many issues that you read. All the really shitty, not X-Men heroes that Jason was training.
Oh, I recall, yes.
I'm sure you do.
I mean, I couldn't name you any.
Detail.
I couldn't name you any of them, but I remember the pain of reading the issue.
Could you describe even a single one of them? Not even name, just describe the power set, look, anything about any of them.
There was a baby, and there was one whose like head was separate or was in a different part of their body or something like that.
I know where you're coming from.
Okay.
You're merging two things that are actually the same thing.
Oh, really? That's the baby.
So there is a baby that is carried by a zombie.
Ah, yes, okay.
And that's where you're getting the carried head from, I think. It's all the baby. But I think that's where you're coming from. But I mean, credit. I mean, you got 1 out of 6. Or I mean, you got a half out of 6.
Oh, there's one with like a sort of rusty mechanical teeth like jaw thing. Big metal jaw.
Oh, I think yeah, devour. Yeah,
There you go.
yeah. Oh, I'll get you.
That's all I
It's
can
not
do
bad.
though.
I mean, it's pretty close. There was there's the not Doomsday one as well. If you remember Doomed, Lobdell's previous series in the middle of New 52, the kid who got infected with Doomsday shit, so he looks like lanky Doomsday. This is like ringing zero bells, Pete. I can see.
No, no, not
But
at all.
basically, Monsieur Mallow is there shouting at them all, and Jason's like, "What the hell are you doing?" and sticks a gun up to the back of his head. And then Margun's like, "No, I hired him. I hired him and the brain, and they're kind of training the kids because you pissed off repeatedly." And Jason's like, "They're my responsibility." He's like, "Yeah, well, you left them with me, so screw you." And then he goes, "Fine, they're all yours," and then leaves. So Jason's a great teacher and responsible figure, clearly. And he goes off to Veritas. I don't know if she's in the middle of the earth or if she's in where, but they've got Joker's daughter. She's been in a coma. She's just woken up, and she's unresponsive. So he goes and sticks her Joker face, the Joker mask on her, and she starts Joker laughing. And he's like, "Oh yeah, probably should have thought that she'd do that." It's like, "Oh no shit." And then we cut to the Iceberg Lounge because again, this is the greatest hits of Lobdell's run here. They're just doing stuff there. Susie Sue's is running stuff. Duella Dent is doing physical therapy, learning to walk again in the Iceberg Casino for some reason that I don't quite get. Um, it's not going that well, and Jason's taunting her, being like, "Hey, I'll fight your dad." I'm pretty sure he's on about Joker and not Two Face, not her. But I mean, I don't know when it comes to her exactly. And she walks, and then he takes it. This is all cutting around really quickly. Like every couple of pages, it is cutting like this. It cuts to the Wayne graveyard, and they look at Jason's grave. And he's like, "Yeah, I was buried here once." And it's this whole thing, and she's like, "I see what you're doing. You're trying to do this. Don't go down this path that I've gone down." Speech. Again, then we're cutting. The next one, we're back to Jason Artemis in bed, and having this conversation. Him going, "Oh, I might love you," and she, this is actual dialogue. He goes, "I might love you," and he's got a head against his head against her waist at this point, and she goes, "Or not." That's dialogue. I might love you, or not, and that's okay. That is a conversation in this book, and it's atrocious.
Touching.
Yeah, and then Joker's daughter, she's running away, and Jason's like, "I know she's running away, but I'm not going to forbid her to leave. She can do what she wants. She's got to learn." And she runs into Pup Pup, which, if you remember Pup Pup, Pete, I will give you a point.
Nope.
Pup Pup is Bizarro's little Superman doll that speaks. If you remember that
Nope.
at all.
Nope.
No,
that's not.
To be honest, for a long time in this run, I thought it was only in Bizarro's head that it speaks, but it's speaking here to Joker's daughter and is going along with it. That reminds me, there's a point at the start of this book, when he's reminiscing about all the people.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about Bizarro and he says, "Imagine Superman, but all heart." I'm like, that's goddamn Superman, Lobdell. You've just described Superman, not Bizarro. Like, just ridiculous. Anyway, Pup Pup is in the way. She kicks him, and then he's like, "Dude, what the hell?" And she's like, "Oh, that's adorable. Let me give you a hand." And they become best friends. And they fall asleep together, and he stops her running away. And Jason comes and puts a little red cape over them as like a blanket while they sleep in the middle of the field. Yeah, I don't know. And then it's like days later, we're cutting around a lot again, and they're on a little mission. It's Jason Artemis and Joker's daughter and Pop Up all on a mission as the Outlaws, and they're doing some fighting. And Duella just starts screaming, and he's like, "Do you know what? For the first time, I don't want this violence. I don't want to kill people." So they're gonna take her back home and leave her with her actual family and her parents. I say parents. I'm pretty sure, Harvey Dent is a dad. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm misremembering it, but her name is Duella Dent. So I'm not getting this from nowhere. If that is why my head is there. But they leave Pup Pup with her to keep her company and look over her, and then Artemis and Jason, they're driving off on their bikes, and they're like, "Oh, we're taking a break." And then it's like, this is the end of us. And it's like, you don't need us anymore, Jason. You know, and that's it. He goes off on his own. He's like, he's going back to Gotham. And that's the end of the issue. It's just him going back to Gotham and saying, next Jason returns home. And it is 50 pages of nonsense. There is so much of this that feels like Lobdell didn't actually want to leave this book. Like there are a lot of obligatory tied up like loose ends. Like, I guess we'll answer that. I guess we'll tie up that. But it in no way feels like the end of a run beyond that. We're doing the reminiscing things. It feels like he was forced off the book and he's doing a final issue to celebrate rather than this is what I actually wanted to end my story. And don't get me wrong, I'm happy about this.
He's probably got like a close to 100 issue run at this point.
Oh, longer probably. But I think that's why it surprises me because it's sold pretty consistently. He's obviously been happy writing it, which is why it surprises me that it feels like he's been forced off as opposed to him choosing to leave.
I can't remember. Was this decision after Didio left? Is this maybe more to do with that?
Oh, maybe. Are you thinking that the reason he had the book was he had some dirt on Didio and now the replacements don't care?
Yeah, either dirt or maybe they're just friends or something.
No, he definitely had dirt.
Something disgusting like that. I don't know. All right,
that could be the reason. I'm going to give this a 3.5. It's a very weak issue that has no story. Has a lot of just random cuts about the scenes. It feels very fragmented. It's not a good issue.